Hello, good evening. Welcome along to Business Today. Hope you're doing well. I'm John Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. But first, a look at our top stories. In tonight's bulletin, Paul Mwambu, a commissioner for crop inspection and certification from the Ministry of Agriculture, has confirmed interceptions of fruit and vegetable exports in the European Union market. Elsewhere, the State Minister of Works and Transportation, Musa Echero, asserts that more funding will set aside for road maintenance in the upcoming fiscal year 2023-2024. And also, the Agriculture Empowerment Initiative, Sasakao Africa, called for inclusive agriculture extension services for small-scale farmers. And right now, we start our focus on the Uganda-EU market interception. Paul Mwambu, a commissioner for crop inspection and certification from the Ministry of Agriculture, has confirmed interceptions of fruit and vegetables in the European Union market. Now, during the manifesto presentation by different ministries, agencies and departments, Paul does say that these interceptions occurred as a result of some fruits being exported, with Benson Mumbere reporting.
In June 2014, the Ugandan government implemented a restructuring of the National Agricultural Extension System to address previous shortcomings in extension services. Unfortunately, the limited capabilities of Agriculture Extension and Advisory Service still have 68% of agricultural households being trapped in subsistence.
According to Crop Inspection and Certification Commissioner from the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Paul Mwambu, the European Union has not been banning fresh fruits and vegetable exportation into the European market, apart from interceptions. Paul asserts throughout the manifesto presentations by several ministries, agencies and departments that these interceptions happened as a result of some crops being exported contaminated with pests.
Was erroneously stating that there were bans on the EU market of our fresh fruits and vegetables. Actually, that is not correct. The correct thing is that there have been interceptions of our products on the EU market. But the EU market has not banned, not even in the recent past, any our Ugandan products on their market.
Data from the Presidential Advisory Committee on Exports and Industry Development indicates that Uganda make about $50 million annually from fruit and vegetable exports, and that the aim is to increase to around $200 million in the next 4 to 5 years. Such market interceptions, therefore, may affect this move. Paul told the media that the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, MAIF, has now worked on this and that they are recording the trend coming down.
Some of our fruits and vegetables reach the market when they have some pests in them, which technically we call harmful organisms. Now, some of these are quarantine pests, are not broken down to acceptable levels for human consumption, and this has been another reason for interceptions on the market. We have worked around these, and we are now seeing the trend coming down, because remember, quality of the product is not manufactured at the point of exit. It starts right at the farm level.
In May 2015, government announced a self-imposed ban on the export of vegetables, especially pepper, into the European Union. The ban came after looming threats that European Union was about to ban vegetables, which would have been made it hard to regain access to the market. Market access for Ugandan agriculture products into the European market will soon be realized at a higher rate after the installation of the aflatoxin testing kit, as highlighted by Dr. Kasim Sadiq, the Deputy Director General, Agriculture Technology Promotion at NARO.
The facility is almost done. The equipment to be installed is already in the country. It's just waiting some bit of installation. But what it will do is this. Currently, our average level of aflatoxins in our grain mainly is over 28%, parts per billion. But what is recommended in the EU market is between 0 to 20 parts per billion. So the AflaSafe facility will enable us produce aflatoxin that will reduce that contamination level by aflatoxins, say almost to 4 parts per billion.
Information from the Presidential Advisory Committee on Exports and Industrial Development further shows that because it's a landlocked country, Uganda mainly exports fruits and vegetables to Europe by air into Liège, Brussels and Amsterdam. There hasn't been a direct airline route to the UK for the last 6 or 7 years, but now Uganda Airlines is in its final stages of safety inspection to agree landing rights with Britain. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now our focus now turns to inclusive agriculture extension services. Uganda's agriculture, which is accounting for 24.1% of gross domestic product by the budget of the financial year 2022-2023, is crucial for the economy and employs 68% of Uganda's workforce. Now, besides ensuring food security, it can boost household incomes, tax revenue, foreign exchange, and drive economic transformation. Achieving this requires pursuing strategies like technology and mechanization, irrigation, quality inputs, and climate-smart agribusiness extension services. Ronan Ahaboy has details to this report.
In June 2014, the Ugandan government implemented a restructuring of the National Agricultural Extension System to address previous shortcomings in extension services. Unfortunately, the limited capabilities of Agriculture Extension and Advisory Service still have 68% of agricultural households being trapped in subsistence production, detached from the monetary economy. This situation hampers their access to vital knowledge, technology, and innovations. The country director of Sasakawa Africa is optimistic that addressing this overlooked aspect will lead to significant enhancements in agricultural productivity and the adoption of sustainable farming practices.
Issues evolve over time. You know, as Sasakawa, we are evolving. And clearly you can, like the team has highlighted, we have reviewed our strategy and started to highlight some of the new areas that we believe can make a difference in the next 3 years. It could be in the next 3 years or beyond, but we're starting the journey that tries to address some of the, binding constraints, challenges that you still believe exist. And Sasakawa can't tell you that we were here to actually solve all the problems, otherwise then we'll become irrelevant. Neither does the government tell you that. Neither anybody who is here, neither you sitting there will say you will address all the challenges. They evolve and they manifest in different forms. And therefore there is call for a new strategic focus. That strategic focus, for example, we've highlighted one of the pillars, that regenerative agriculture is critical. That going back to the basics of understanding why is it that we believe soil, is relevant for us to rethink the way we handle our soil. Why is it that it's necessary to go back and appreciate that there is a need to blend our indigenous practices with the new practices that we have adopted? What is the missing link there? What do we need to make sure that we bridge, that we will address the challenges of soil? The soil health continues to be a burden to everybody. And you know that the population is growing and growing every day. So with the land fragmentation happening, that means we're planting over and over without replenishing the nutrients.
So the partners also help us to bring on board what are those technologies that are going to promote some of the innovations that we have as Sasakawa. And a point in case, we mentioned the partnerships we have with, for instance, the Harvest Plus. If you've heard about Harvest Plus, they modify the food so we get to eat the biofortified food, which is enriched with certain elements of nutrients.
Smallholder horticulture and enhancement approach. This approach basically is grow to sell, not grow and sell. That means all what we are telling our farmers to grow, we have already opened the market. For example, take an example of maize. We already have working MOUs with the grain pulse. They are asking for all the maize that we have with East African millers. So quite a number of them have opened. If you go to other enterprises like soya, like beans, we have MOUs, sorghum breweries is taking all the sorghum. We have got Maganjo Millers taking all the brown sorghum we have. So we have opened the market.
Amidst economic uncertainty, low-income communities in Uganda face increasing challenges in securing adequate food. A recent report by Food and Agriculture Organization and other UN agencies revealed a global increase in hunger, affecting between 702 million and 828 million individuals in 2021. This is compared to 2020, an additional 46 million people experienced hunger. Capacity building, particularly for smallholder farmers, plays a crucial role in achieving goals such as improved productivity per unit area. There are lots of buyers for the maize, but there are also inconsistencies in the measurement. And so they are robbing us of all our profits. Through close engagement with farmers within the system, it becomes evident that their financial challenges extend beyond limited funding. The issue lies in the mismanagement or wasteful utilization of their profits. One important suggestion to highlight is that both government and the development partners should strive to actualize the Maputo Declaration, which calls for a minimum annual budget allocation of 10% to agriculture. Runana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Right now, meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni has, together with the First Lady, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, the Minister of Education and Sports, launched Uganda's joint bid to host the African Cup of Nations tournament at State House in Entebbe. Now, President Museveni notes that for East Africa to come together and host the African Cup of Nations come 2027 is quite a good idea, and it's another dimension to promote and publicize East Africa, and also a venture to promote tourism. Let's get more in this report.
So this is Africa Pamoja bid holding the 3 founding nations of East Africa. It's a timely initiative for fostering and widening East Africa integration for a common market in the future. But we also welcome it because it gives an opportunity to our young people to get to know each other and to do things together.
And as Mama was saying, that guiding of people in sports, either to participate or to watch, is better than people going to bars and other bad areas. The legs, you learn how to coordinate all these. It's good. You train your people. You may find somebody cannot coordinate his body, but sports teaches you how to coordinate. When the ball is coming to you, how do you stop it? Using the leg. So it trains your body to coordinate better. Wherever I am, I do sports. But sports must be part of a totality, not just isolated. Especially the spectators. When you come to spectate, what have you done before you came? Because the other one is like a manipulation. They sway the crowds.
Now we turn our focus on road integration. The government of Uganda has a plan of improving 1,525 kilometers of community access roads per year to foster local economic development. That the State Minister of Works and Transport, Musa Echeru, asserts that more funding will be set for the maintenance in the upcoming fiscal year 2023-2024 in order to improve infrastructure and make it quite possible for entrepreneurs to transfer their goods from one place to another. Samuel Kirimunda reports.
As Uganda looks forward to improving road network in the country, in the next financial year 2022-2023, emphasis will be put on construction of roads and maintenance in urban and rural areas. Speaking to the State Minister for Works and Transport, Musa Echweru, reveals that COVID-19 had a greater impact on the nation and that budget cuts had to be made in order to free up more funds. Now that funds have been restored, each district will receive 1 billion shillings in order to improve community access roads to enable movement of goods and services.
The emphasis is going to be in these areas, as you must have seen. Community access roads. Community access roads across the country will benefit each district, like he has told you, is going to receive 1 billion shillings to help the local governments work on the community access roads, and then their efforts will be supplemented by the center.
According to Assistant Commissioner Engineer Joseph Muchibi from the Ministry of Works and Transport, they have been experiencing a huge problem in the optimal prices of constructing a unit per kilometer, which is still a perception despite increasing fuel prices and foreign rates that keep changing, constraining the budget for the roads.
The specifications or the quality of the roads that we do construct, that is also a function of money. We would have loved to construct stronger pavements, starting from Kampala all the way to Jinja, all the way going to northern Uganda. But when we have a budget that is constrained, then we have to make sure that in our calibration and economic calculations during appraisal, we use money that is available, and then we try to optimize that resource to see that we can get the best road out of it. And what we get is a 15-year design, flexible pavements. We would have loved to construct roads that you always refer to, which are rigid pavements, but this is a very high cost input, especially the capital investment that you need to put in.
In addition to that, as much as the budget is still constrained, the technical team is using that chance to practice corruption by using different cheap material while constructing urban roads.
Cobblestone was approved by the president that we start using it in the urban areas in Uganda. And we were instructed to start on this. And the pilot was, we were instructed to work on 36 kilometers of urban roads. And went ahead. You know, when we were studying where to start off, we had to use different areas where we can sample this pilot of cobblestones. And the ministry went ahead and used the company by the names of ETATS. And we sampled, and the following towns were chosen. Njeru Municipal Council, Katweka Batolo Town Council, Luwelo Town Council, and Kabramaido. Those are the town councils that we are going to start with using cobblestone. We are going to sample 1 kilometer to work on those roads.
Citizens, where these projects are ongoing, construction of roads, try to take interest in what is going on so that you can help us to know, is the supervision going on? Is the right materials being used? It's not very highly technical. Somebody can tell which is madam and which is just bare straight. So it's something which, when we get reports of corruption, we act on them. Of course, Chair, there is also the element of capacity. We want to encourage our local firms to take on the works. There is even a percentage which is allocated to them. But some of our local companies lack that capacity. So when they lack capacity, they go in for other things which compromise the quality of work. But otherwise, we don't deny there is corruption, but we don't condone it.
Uganda is set to construct over 5,591 kilometers with a total paved stock of 22.6% of the national road network. Samuel Chirumunda compiled this story.
And now we talk matters cost of road safety. After a week-long road safety campaign, a number of participants have continued to emphasize the importance of security. It has been underlined that insurance policies should cover both customers and riders. So doing so will lower traffic accidents and increase safety awareness in the country. We have more in this report.
With the decline of the road safety budget having reduced from 52.7 billion in 2021-2022 to 19.8 billion in 2022-2023, citizens are at risk of road accidents, which are on the rise. The reduction in funding raises concerns about the ability to effectively address road safety challenges. It is, however, crucial for riders to recognize the importance of responsible behavior, obeying traffic rules, and being aware of their surroundings.
Recently, I've been doing community policing with the border industry, the border riders in Kampala. But we have found some of them have been involved in a crime. And we have arrested some of them. They have been taken to courts of law. At the same time, they resist to follow the traffic laws. They want to carry about 3-4 people. When the police gives them receipts, some of them are very uncooperative. But it's our duty as the police to make sure that law and order prevails in this country here, and especially in Kampala.
According to the World Health Organization, Uganda is ranked the 6th in road accident death, with motor accidents being the most killer. In light of this alarming statistic, initiatives such as insurance coverage are gaining significant importance through providing assistance to victims, but also highlight the need for preventive measures and responsible driving practices, ultimately working towards reducing the devastating impact of road accidents in the country.
So the insurance cover we are providing is to give you a certain level of protection. All it compensates, gives a benefit. In case you're a passenger riding on a safe border, to be able to give you some medical expenses, to take care of some medical expenses. It gives a benefit in case to your family, in case they die. It can assist you for funeral expenses. It also goes ahead to allow the rider access medication in case of any accident.
In order to reduce road accidents, adequate farming is required for essential infrastructure improvements, public education campaigns, and robust law enforcement initiatives that can effectively tackle the root cause of accidents.
The driver will guarantee you good quality service. It's not that when you use a server you will not get a better service, but these are drivers who have been prepared to give you the best service that you cannot find anywhere in the community. So that's number one. Number two is that if you're a customer and you choose to use a Plus, the trip will also be insured. So in case of any incident while on the trip, insurance will step in to make sure that the hospital bills and all that are also taken care of. As you know, there are a lot of accidents and incidents that continue to happen while on the move, and these are clear benefits for the customers. And these benefits also cast across to the drivers that, of course, while offering good quality service, you'll also be paid a little bit more by those customers, which is a good thing as well for them. But also there are a lot of other services that they will unlock, like opportunity for them to actually have access to other services that are not available to the rest of the members of our community.
The government and policymakers need to allocate sufficient resources to address the rising trend of road accidents. By emphasizing the importance of insurance coverage and ensuring adequate funding, Uganda can take significant strides toward reducing road accidents and safeguarding the lives of citizens. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, meanwhile, we do head into a short commercial break. We return with more Business Today.
Smart 24, driving business. oil like no other. Makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda. Yeah, the taste of Uganda. The taste of Uganda. Yeah,
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
What? Obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange anti yo TV enkolera.
Nyumirwa omulembe omupya ogujjudde ebisanyusa omuli emikutu gya TV egisukka mu 8 n'egya radio nga kwotadde ne zifirimu ng'osinziirira wonna w'oli. Genda mu App Store oteeke app ya GOTV channels ku ssimu yo olwo onyumirwe ennaku 3 ng'olabira bwereere ewatali kozesa data.
GOTV channels.
Let's live it up and party and have cracking good fun. When it comes to edutainment, DSTV's #1.
Is everybody ready to go, go, go?
We've got the zaniest characters to transport you away. The party is cracking, so why not come play? You're gonna love it. We've got so many channels and a ton of new shows, like Disney and Nickelodeon, where anything goes. So live it up with DSTV. We bring the fun. You know we're #1.
Smart 24, driving business.
We'll be back from the break and you're still watching Business Today. Now, our next report turns to the alarming rise in cyber attacks. A study conducted by the National Information Technology Authority, NITA, has revealed that over 80% of local businesses have experienced some form of cyber threat, leading to a substantial financial loss and reputational damage. Therefore, experts have called upon government to come up with an urgent national response team that will play a pivotal role in detecting, preventing, and mitigating cyber attacks across the nation through reducing dependency on imported software that is harmful.
According to data from Uganda Communications Commission, cyber attacks in Uganda have witnessed an alarming surge in the past year alone. Reports indicate a staggering 70% increase in reported cyber incidents, including unauthorized access, data breaches, ransomware attacks, and online fraud. Furthermore, a study conducted by National Information Technology Authority revealed that over 80% of local businesses have experienced some form of cyber threat, leading to substantial financial losses and reputational damage. This has prompted Uganda and Nigeria universities to partner and train students on how to fight against cyber threats.
This training is a solution to some of the challenges we are facing in Uganda, particularly, especially when it comes to the cyber crimes. And here we are going to make awareness in terms of the technology which is supposed to be utilized in that kind of prevention, in terms of dissemination of information, that as we get the participants from various universities, I know that as they go back, this is going to be our message. They are going to share this kind of information to the rest of the world to ensure that the benefits of this training is transmitted to the common person and getting precaution about how to utilize these systems around us.
The best way to build capacity is to train the human resource in
cyber security. When you employ a network admin or systems admin in your company, the first line of priority should be for him to protect your systems. Data breaches, information safety, identity safety, and so on. So,
National Development Plan 3 for the financial year 2020-2021, 2024-2025 stipulates the country's medium-term strategic direction, development priorities and implementation strategies in line with Vision 2040 and sets digital transformation, for example, usage of ICT services for social and economic development, as one of the 18 core programs of the strategy. However, this vision has not been achieved yet due to cyber threats.
Lack of skills. Now you have a lot of products, you have a lot of facilities going on online, and you have a lot of people sitting down to develop a lot of products that will, a lot of hackers around to hack some of your systems. Now we lack the capability in this area of developing a lot of products that will prevent people from hacking your systems. So, and that is why it is very, very important and necessary to now start training all our youth to develop their skills in such a way that they will be able to start developing a lot of products that will prevent hackers from hacking the system.
In the face of this growing cybersecurity crisis, experts are urging government to establish a dedicated national cybersecurity response team. Such a team would play a pivotal role in detecting, preventing and mitigating cyber attacks across the nation through reducing dependence on imported software that is harmful.
I hope the government can pick it up and emphasize the issue of having a cyber security response team at national level. Okay? Because we do not have that, and even if it's there, we do not have that capacity built as it should be. As you know, we import technologies. And when you import technologies, if you don't have capacity, you'll again wait on this technology to give you the security. But if you have your capacity locally here, you'll be able to manage the technology you have imported and even build better systems around it. So as a country, we need to have a cyber security response team.
Go to the villages. Most of the local people to make use of their phone to do online businesses here and there. So now they need to have an awareness that there are some things you can do online that if care is not taken, they can really steal your information and do a lot of other things. So if eventually we have this kind of training, then it's like disseminating information to the community to say, look.
By investing in robust cyber defense mechanisms, fostering collaboration and implementing proactive measures, Uganda can fortify its digital ecosystem and ensure a secure and resilient future. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that, the Parliamentary Forum on Mental Health has called on Ugandans to embrace mental health facilities now that money has been put into the sector. According to legislators, Uganda is experiencing gun violence because of mental issues brought about by poverty, illness, stress, among others. We have details.
Many Ugandans face daily challenges and their mental health has been additionally burdened by the effects of COVID-19. Uganda is ranked among the top 6 countries in Africa in rates of depressive disorders, and less than 1% out of the health budget is spent on mental health. According to the chairperson of the Parliamentary Mental Health Forum, government has tried to address the issue of poverty through introducing programs like Parish Development Model, Emyoga, Operation Wealth Creation, among others, to eradicate poverty, which is the leading factor in mental illnesses in Uganda.
Poverty and has caused a lot of stress and depression in our people, which has caused a mental health challenge to our country. And as you saw, most partners here, we are addressing an issue of income generation and livelihood among the communities that are affected. And also, we had an issue of refugees from all our neighboring countries. And we believe that almost 80% of our refugees are depressed because they are in a new life which they were not going through.
With the recent events of gun violence, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, has cautioned government to carry out mental screening of all Ugandans every after 3 months, especially to the people who hold guns, to prevent occurrences of mental breakdown in future. Speaker adds, now that the mental health sector has been increased money, they expect the matter to be addressed.
For one, all of us are mad. It is just the degree that matters. Now, for those that the degree has gone so high, we really need to do what the chair has just said, that we need to do the screening, you need to do the mental health checks, and we really don't need to do it only on the security personnel. We need to do all of us. We need to do mental health on all of us. In the budget that we have just passed, we have included money for mental health.
Dr. Kenneth Kalani, a psychiatrist from Ministry of Health, says the effects of COVID-19 have increased mental health cases in Uganda because many families are struggling to get basic needs, and when they fail, they resort to abusing drugs, alcohol, which later bring about mental illnesses.
Resources are being scarce and the population is growing. If you compare Uganda with maybe 20 years ago, we still have the same resources and yet the population has grown. And so this makes these resources a bit limited, and people are stressed as they attempt to get their day-to-day needs. In other words, we need resources every day to survive. Anything that threatens your survival causes you mental health issues or stress. That if I cannot get food, if I do not have where to sleep, if my family cannot go to school properly, if I cannot secure basic education, if I cannot secure health, all those basic needs that we need to survive, as long as they are a bit scarce, we get stressed because that we first live to survive and then later live to thrive.
Ugandans have also been advised to engage in sports and physical exercises because it helps to stimulate the proper movement of blood to the brain to prevent future mental health issues.
Fitness addresses the issue of mental health in a way that it helps your body to stay together, and then also it helps you psychologically to be in order. It allows effective blood circulation, because if you realize some of the mental issues come when your mind is fatigued. And what brings the mind to be fatigued? You do not exercise. Yet biologically our bodies are created in a way that we must regularly exercise. When we exercise, we get the full body functionality, psychologically, mentally, and socially.
In a period of 1 month, more than 9 Ugandans have lost their lives through gun violence, and most of these cases have been because of poverty, stress, and depression. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, every Ugandan has some level of mental illness, if you to come to think of it, and it's only a matter of time before it does manifest. And according to the Health Ministry, the report says that 14 million Ugandans are mentally ill, with social problems like poverty, illness, and the stress that is mounting on the heads of most of the Ugandans. Now, in our exclusive tonight, Samla Hanifa has had a one-on-one with Susan Tashobia, who is a psychologist, to break it down for us.
It is the month of mental awareness, and mental illness is on the increase in Uganda. Recently, you've heard of the shootings that have been happening in Uganda here. Just here in Kampala, shootings have been happening, but what is causing this? I'm joined by Tashobia Susan, and she's going to tell us when and how we can get mental health care here in Uganda. Susan, recently things have been happening, and the main cause of these shootings, of these killings, is suicide, because Ugandans are having issues mentally. Poverty is one of them. And now you tell me, how can you tell someone who is poor, who doesn't have what to feed on and what to feed their family, how can you advise such a person to embrace the mental health care?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. It's a very important conversation in our country today, given the timings. Once again, my name is Susan Tashovia. I'm a counseling psychologist, and we do provide psychosocial support to persons like you and I who may be going through different challenges of life and are stressed and are overwhelmed by the situations, and they are tending to get into a place where they cannot control themselves or control their emotions, so that they are able to maintain them and do not act irrationally. Well, like you mentioned, there's a lot that is going on in our country today, and mental health has been a silent issue, but yet a very important issue in our country. In the recent past, it was very hard for us to understand what mental health is, and would see people who are mentally challenged, people would tag them to be maybe bewitched, to be mad, but the madness that has no definition. But when we look at mental health and why has it become a problem today, it has been there with us. We have had it. If you look at the way we define what mental health is, we look at mental health as a state of well-being where an individual is able to manage their normal stresses of life, be able to utilize their full potential, be productive, and contribute positively to their society. Now, from that definition, it tells us that everyone has some levels of stress, not mad, some levels of stress. You have some levels of stress. I do have some levels of stress. For example, as you invited me to give this conversation, to participate in the conversation, it's my first time to have an interview, a long interview like this, and I had to prepare for it. I was nervous. I was on tension. What are they going to ask me? How am I going to appear? As I prepared, there's some stress that came with it, but that's a normal situation, which we say normal stress. But if after this interview, I continue feeling nervous, I continue feeling fearful about this whole experience, then there's a problem. So all of us have that level of stress that is normal. But we are saying if it goes beyond the normal, where you find someone is stressed all the time, you're not happy even when you present yourself to be okay. We have seen many people in our society today, they are posting pictures, they're at the beach, they are happy, and then tomorrow another post comes, she has committed suicide. Why? Because she could or he could have been going through some challenges that caused that pressure or stress onto themselves, and then eventually they fail to control. So we are saying in this month of awareness, we are trying to help the masses to understand how mental health affects their well-being, their lives, and the lives of the people around them. Because you might be mentally fine, but maybe your children are not okay, and that causes your mental health to be at stake. But also, if you manage to contain yourself and manage that stress that comes with whatever challenges, what about the people you take care of that could be the ones going through the similar, mental health challenges? You yourself, you need to be mentally stable, because if you do not know how to manage, then you'll find their challenges overwhelming you, and you also become sick or mentally challenged as opposed to what should be the real case.
Susan, where can ordinary Ugandans access these facilities? Because they seem to be expensive to an ordinary Ugandan who is struggling with poverty, and where can they get cheap facilities of mental health care?
Well, it also depends on the facility where you go, because I'll be very honest, there's nothing that regulates the practitioners on saying this is the cost of therapy, but as you ask around, people will always lead you to the right place. So if people are challenged, the best thing is to just walk into a health facility and inquire whether these services are there. And what is very good is that some of these services are very free in the facilities, but because people are not aware of them, people are not aware of where they can access the services from, people are not aware that they are being challenged mentally. Others live in denial. When you tell someone, I think you need to talk to someone, they'll tell you, no, I'm okay.
I know it is confidential to keep some of the information of the patients that you receive, some of the patients. Like, what category of people have you so far, like received? Are they business people, work, office people? Like, what category of people, like, do really need these services, and the ones that you've actually encountered?
All of us need these services. But as Rapport, we are focusing mainly on the workplace people, because we do provide what we call employee assistance program, which is a mental health support for employees, particularly in organizations or companies. But when we come back to your question, everyone needs the services. Right now it is open to the public because we are trying to create awareness, and we have been receiving all sorts of people. For instance, with the ongoing camp, we have received people who are not necessarily our clients, who are, for example, the staff of parliament, but we have received MPs, we have received drivers, security personnel, and today being an open day for the Parliamentary Forum camp on mental health awareness, we have received all categories of people from the public walking in to get services or to find out more about mental health.
Yeah, Susan, with the high levels of poverty in Uganda, and poverty being one of the factors that actually lead to these mental health issues, how would you advise Ugandans, like, who are in that state? Because they really need that kind of information. They need to be counseled. Actually, you're going to ask a Ugandan, someone who is in that kind of state, who is poor, that you really need this mental health. They will think that you're mad, because right now what I need is money, not those services.
Okay. Yeah, that is a very big challenge. Yesterday, actually, I had something on my status on the phone, and some person reached out and said, my problem is money. Can you please give me some money? Well, I know poverty is one of the reasons, one of the risk factors that causing mental health issues, illnesses to be on a rise. But let's look at poverty. What creates poverty? It starts with you as an individual to look back and see where you are standing. What have you been able to do for yourself? We have people dying of poverty, but some of them are not working, have not taken the initiative. Let's look at the people back home, or even in our neighborhood. You find young able-bodied persons, instead of waking up and going to do something that is productive, they wake up going to a nearby shop to either take drugs, to take any substances. They are thinking about going to rob. And you imagine, if I decided to stay back home, for example, if Kampala is difficult, back home, there's so much you can do. Look at what you have at home. Where can you start from? But people have a mentality of not working, not wanting to work. And of course, the times have become so tough that poverty is continuing to become a vicious circle. Everywhere you go, everyone is living in poverty, everyone is talking about poverty, people are blaming it on the government, but what are you doing for yourself as an individual? Do you have a plot back home? What can you do with your plot of land back home? Can you plant beans? Can you plant sweet potatoes? And take them and set up a stall.
Yeah, before we wrap this up, could you please assure our viewers that actually these services they are not that expensive, because what we know as Ugandans, that when you see something like that, mental health, go and talk to a psychiatrist, that is a lot of money. I have to pay money for this and then I pay that money for that. Could you please assure our viewers that actually these services are there and they are free, or some are not that expensive?
Okay, yeah, true. The services are there. They may be expensive. Other people may, because it depends on the practitioners. Some are expensive, others are free. I want to tell the public that these services are available. In some facilities they are free, but people don't go for them, okay? And because people do not know what it entails, people are lost. When I talk to you and you tell me, oh, I went to see a counselor and they charged me, say, 100,000, I ran away. We are flexible, especially at Rapport, if I may use that facility where I work. Our purpose is to help people who are mentally challenged. Sometimes we get clients and they are in distress, they need help, but they don't have money. But as practitioners who are passionate about helping people, about their challenges with mental illnesses, we've been able to extend free services to them. For example, during this whole camp, this whole month, we've been camped here at Parliament. We are not charging anyone any coin. So we want to encourage the public, before you fear to go and seek help, try and go to the facility, get the information, and then you see how you can go about it. You may be having little money like 10,000. You need to have that bargaining power and talk to the practitioner. This is what I have.
And lastly, from us, the speaker just mentioned that they have increased the budget for mental health. They have put medicine facilities. We have Ugandans who abuse these drugs, because when someone is depressed and then the doctors recommend certain medicines for them, and then they become addicted to such medicines. How would you advise such a person?
I want to advise the public that these medications are good for their health, but if they are not used correctly, it is dangerous to their health as well. So once you are in that place of situation where you need to use the medication, there's what we call adherence. Adhere to the medication that has been given to you. Take it correctly, because if you don't, first of all, it is going to affect your health, and you become resistant to this medication, and that means it will not work. And that's where we have seen people abusing the drugs like you've mentioned, and taking overdose and also being addicted, and you find that it no longer helps them, but it works on the contrary. And without this medication, this person cannot do what? Cannot survive. So we want to tell the public that whenever you're given the medication, take it as prescribed by the practitioner, adhere accordingly, and your purpose should be to actually get well and stop using the medication as guided by the practitioner.
Thank you so much, Susan. As far as mental health is concerned, all of us need these facilities. Help is available everywhere. You can get it. Thank you so much.
All right, now let's get our eyes set to China's surging oil demand, threatening as the International Energy Agency has issued a warning about the potential consequences, highlighting the widening gap between surging demand in all the developing countries and the lackluster demand in Europe and North America. We have details in this report.
In its latest outlook, the Paris-based International Energy Agency has raised concerns about China's soaring oil demand, which poses a significant threat to global crude markets. As suppliers struggle to keep up, oil prices are expected to rise, amplifying the challenges faced by energy consumers worldwide. This trend underscores a growing disparity between booming demand in developing regions and sluggish economic prospects in North America. China, the world's largest oil consumer, heavily relies on the Middle East for its energy needs. As tension between the United States and China escalates, the Middle East has emerged its potential battleground. Recognizing the importance of energy security, China has been diligently working to diversify its energy portfolio around the world. However, it remains heavily dependent on the region, leaving it vulnerable to the United States' leverage and military presence in the Middle East. Beijing's struggle to keep up pace with its expanding energy demand has become increasingly evident. China has experienced rolling blackouts for several consecutive years, resulting in extended periods of darkness in entire cities. Furthermore, last year's drought and the global energy market crisis stemming from Russia's invasion of Ukraine pose significant challenges for China's energy industry. To mitigate vulnerabilities, Beijing has been actively expanding its energy empire, focusing on developing countries with vast untapped energy resources. Despite sustainable investment and notable increase in clean energy spending, China's hunger for additional energy supply remains insatiable. Approximately 72% of China's oil consumption is imported, with the Middle East accounting for about half of its imports.
All right, now away from that, we now get a recap of our top stories as we are winding up with tonight's bulletin. In tonight's bulletin, Paul Mwambu, a commissioner for crop inspection and certification from the Ministry of Agriculture, has confirmed interceptions of fruit and vegetable exports in the European Union market. Elsewhere, the State Minister of Works and Transportation, Musa Echero, asserts that more funding will set aside for road maintenance in the upcoming fiscal year 2023-2024. And also, the Agriculture Empowerment Initiative, Sasakao Africa, called for inclusive agriculture extension services for small-scale farmers. Many thanks for being part of the bulletin tonight. I'm Joram Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. Till tomorrow, good evening and good night.
Up next on Smart 24 TV.
Smart 24,